gonna backtrack. And you should've kept my name out your mouth. Ask me though how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going, give you something you can talk about. Welcome into my world, you're playing my game. Thought that you could come up and they're fitting off of my knee. Talking out the side of your neck like you insane. Cortisol levels to the roof, inflame. Kids these days so shameless, selling out real friends for a paycheck. Mama didn't teach them no home training. Wanna be me so bad but they failing. Step to the plate though, I'll take a challenger. I ain't scared of no low life scavenger. I should warn you though, if you haven't heard, I ain't no Colleen ukulele ballanger. Shots been fired, run and tell that. Say it to my face though, now behind my back. Won't be long till you share it in the group chat. And when I call you up, you gonna Can you hear me now? Testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, you can hear me now. Yes. Okay. Woo. All right. Yes, I'm just gonna blame that on P. Diddy's demons, and it's definitely not my fault. Anyway. So I am like really so tired, y'all. I feel like I need to be sleeping. I usually wake up at like 4 or 4:30 in the morning, just like be ready and everything. I did not do that today. However, I feel like it's Saturday, May 17th. I feel like I still needed to come through and tell y'all what happened after I left yesterday. After I left yesterday, it was I think it was about 3:15 I left yesterday. A bunch of stuff happened. So I'm just gonna try to like get us caught up. I didn't even know if I was going to do this because I was like, I sent y'all over there to Pascal. There was other people covering it. I figured like, maybe I can just that girl from yonder said, I'm surprised you're here with us. Okay, so there was some shout out to Rabbit. I was actually, when I was getting ready this morning, I was actually watching Rabbit. She got the transcripts from excuse me, I think like the first day. And she's reading through it, and there's just so many details, so much stuff that wasn't reported that was actually in the court transcript. So if you want to know more details like that, I would say go and follow Rabbit. Definitely make sure you're subscribed over there. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat, Rabbit. So I thought today what we would do Saturday, May 17th. I thought what we would do today is basically just catch up on that last bit of the day that I missed yesterday. I mean, there was people tagging me on Twitter. Like, I didn't even watch anybody else. I can't figure out what's going on without you. I'm lost without you. So I'm like, Okay. I guess I'll do this live. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. There's so much, Rabbit said, like so much happened in that last 1.5 hours. So let's just do what we always do and start with inner city press. I'm gonna try to find I did have it up already, but I guess it like auto, what's it called? Refreshed. So he's actually tweeting stuff just like an hour ago. It's Saturday. Oh my God, he has a new song. Y'all better go get his new song. Trial Week 1, Cassie Blues by Matthew Russell Lee, icon, legend, king. Okay, he's saying they're arguing since Cassie didn't testify to this particular assault in her direct examination. Dawn's testimony doesn't go to that count. Okay, so this will end up coming up. We're a little ahead of ourselves here. Like I said, I did originally have this thread from yesterday up, but I guess it like auto renewed. Okay. Whoo, Lord, y'all. I am tired. Okay, let's see. So I liked these. Okay, this looks like it's the last one that I liked. All right. Or did I? Yeah. Okay, we did read this yesterday. So I'm just gonna pick up with the where we left off with the last tweet that I remember reading yesterday from Matthew Russell Lee. Yesterday was the last day of the second week of trial. It was Friday, May 16th. This is now today. It is 1:54 p.m. Eastern, so the same time zone that Diddy trial is going on Saturday, May 17th. Okay, so the 17th or one day later. This from yesterday, 22 hours ago. I believe this. I believe this is the last tweet I read yesterday. No. Let me go up. This one. I read this one. D-Rock was like a member of your family. I read that. Okay, you stated you were feeling overwhelmed filing your civil lawsuit, right? Okay. I think this is the last tweet we read yesterday, actually. This one right here, 22 hours ago. Diddy's lawyer, Estevayo, she says to Cassie, this is when Cassie was still on the stand. D-Rock was like a member of your family, right? Cassie said, yeah, he was like a brother. And the assistant, Mia, you also had a friendship with her? And again, this Mia, this is a pseudonym. This is not really the assistant's real name. She said, yeah, I had a friendship with her too. And then the prosecutor's like, okay, here. You begin with an explicit message, and Diddy responds with one. You are actively sexting. You stated that you were feeling overwhelmed after filing your civil lawsuit, right? And Cassie's like, yeah. Now here's a bit of information that's interesting and new. You recently received a settlement from the Intercontinental. Like that hotel doesn't even exist anymore. Maybe the building is still there, but it's not called the Intercontinental anymore. And I thought that company went out of business. But yesterday on the stand, Cassie was asked by Diddy's lawyer, you received a settlement from the Intercontinental? And she said, no. You made a demand? She said, yes. So this is interesting. The hotel where it all happened, the incident, the 2016 incident, the officer who's now a police officer, Israel Flores, was there. The video came out, all that. So that hotel apparently allegedly recently made a settlement with Cassie. So that's interesting to me because it's like a closed down hotel. It don't exist anymore. So I don't know what that's about. Then the judge looks over to the prosecutors like, anything further? And they're like, yeah, we do have one more question. So the judge is like, okay, I was asking Miss Estevayo, so can you wrap it up in 2 minutes? And Estevayo is like, yeah, this is the last thing I'll ask you to read, Cassie. Cassie's like, thank you. So here's the last thing Cassie read, the last thing Diddy's lawyer asked her to read. Quote, we need closure and understanding. Okay, so this is a text, I guess, that Cassie sent to Diddy. So U.S. attorney comes up. She has one more question. This is the feds. This is the prosecutor. Seemingly like the last question that Cassie's going to have to answer, period, at this trial. This is U.S. attorney says, why did you keep your devices, Cassie? Because it looks like the defense, Diddy's team, is trying to tee it up as if Cassie kept these devices for the purpose of basically blackmailing Diddy. Like she's saying Diddy was blackmailing her, but why did she keep these videos all these years? Why didn't she destroy the devices? Why didn't she get rid of them, et cetera, et cetera? She said, I was actually afraid of what was on them. I would take them to the Apple. I wouldn't take them to the Apple store. Okay, Diddy's lawyer then follows up. One more final question. One last final question. Diddy's lawyer says, one question. You reached a $10 million settlement with the Intercontinental last week before trial? Actually, last week, the trial started. So I guess before the jury questionnaire, no, the trial was going on last week. Monday it started. So she settled last week. Like as they were picking the jury, maybe the jury hadn't even been selected yet. Maybe it had. Actually, no, it didn't get finally selected till this Monday. So last week, the first week of trial, Cassie apparently reached a $10 million settlement with the Intercontinental. So I don't know what that is about. All right, so then they took a break, and then Inner City, we were expecting next for it to be Dawn Richard. Y'all, I found out that's my cousin. I found out that's my cousin. I didn't do a DNA test, but I did not know she was from Louisiana. Maybe I knew, but I forgot. I don't know. She's from New Orleans. Her last name is spelled like Richard, but my mom's grandpa on her mom's side, his last name's Richard, and they don't say Richard, they say Richard like that. So found out that's probably my cousin. So good to know. I thought my cousin Dawn Richard was coming up on the stand, but actually next they had this special agent come up on the stand. So during the break, there was some activity going on, as it usually does. Agnifilo says, we object to the testimony. We object to all of the testimony, all of it, of Dawn Richard. I'm going to say Richard like on accident a few times, but I'm going to get it right because I've been saying Richard. I did not know she went by Richard till yesterday. Okay, so Agnifilo has been knowing they was going to call up Dawn Richard for a very long time, and he's just now saying, no, we object. We object to Dawn Richard testimony. And the judge said, what are you freaking talking about? Why is this coming up at 3:30 in the afternoon? Going forward, you have to address this stuff before you get into court. And then Inner City Press said, yeah, so why aren't the submissions in the docket, Judge Subramanian? Okay, so then the jury comes back in. This is the afternoon. This is the special agent, Binda. Yassine Binda. So the first person's going to ask questions of her is going to be the prosecutors, the feds. So Madison Smizer comes forward to ask questions, and she says, good afternoon, where do you work? The special agent said her name was, I guess they already introduced her name. She said she works for the, Homeland Security Investigations. Now, remember, these are the ones that were partnering up, one of the agencies partnering up with a multi-agency approach to investigate and prosecute Diddy. Hold on, I gotta turn my space heater on. If I'm like uncomfortable in any way, I cannot concentrate. I'm too cold. Okay. So where do you work? She says, I work for the Homeland Security Investigations, which is one of the departments that like did the raids and announced just one of the agencies that's prosecuting, investigating, working on this case. And specifically, she works in the human trafficking group of the Homeland Security Investigations. She says she's also in the crisis negotiation group. The assistant U.S. attorney said, did you serve as subpoenas in this case? She said, yes. So she's one of the people that served the subpoenas in this case. So when Diddy was arrested, where did you go? Okay, this gets a little scandalous, y'all. She said, I went to the Park Hyatt, room 2115, where Diddy was staying. And then they showed a photograph of the entrance of the hotel to the jury. So, if I recall correctly, and maybe I could even bring up an article or something, but if I recall correctly, Diddy was expecting to like voluntarily turn himself in the next day, like after his arrest. So what ended up happening was they actually like sort of ambush arrested him, if I recall correctly. And his lawyers even made kind of a big deal about it or whatever in court, where they were like, when they were trying to get bail, they were like, he's cooperating. He's been in New York. He's been here. He's not on the run. Please let him stay in his own house, et cetera, et cetera. Ultimately, as we know, he did not end up getting bail. But I'm wondering, never mind. I'll tell y'all that later, but let's just get through what was said. So this special agent is asked, where did you go? Where did you go when Diddy was arrested? She said, I went to the Park Hyatt in room 2115. That's where Diddy was staying. What did you do? She said, we assigned a letter to each room and began to search. So each room means, I'm assuming it was some type of big suite, like multiple rooms, like a penthouse, like a hotel suite or whatever. What was your role? The prosecutor asks the investigator. And she said, I took photographs of the items and then I signed them on the 6051 form. And the next question is, what was found in the closet? And then they put some pictures up. Plastic bags full of Johnson & Johnson baby oil. Also, Astroglide bottles. Okay, he liked the Astroglide and he liked the baby oil. And could you tell me what was found in the bathroom? She said several more bottles of baby oil. Interesting. So then they show the pictures, and have these pictures been made public? Yeah, Halloween Freak is saying that thank you for the $4.99 super chat. He or she or they heard another YouTube lawyer say that if Diddy was allowed to turn himself in, they wouldn't have been able to raid his hotel. Right. That was what I was like, I'll leave that for later. I'll say that later. But that is also, I don't know who you heard say that, but I do agree with that. I do think that it's very common. It's very common. The day before somebody goes to jail, the day before somebody turns himself in, the day before somebody goes to rehab, etc., treatment, they'll have one last final hoorah. The day before somebody wants to get sober, they have one big last final hoorah, and they do their substance of choice, or they do their whatever thing of choice. And yeah, no, I was looking at something else up. So exactly. Thank you, Halloween Freak, for the $4.99 super chat. What Pray With Me said is, so he was doing one more freak off before turning himself in. I don't know. I don't know, but it kind of feels like just maybe. I think that's possible. Like he was having one more final hoorah with the freak off and the baby Tukey and the oil and the Johnson and all that. So I don't know if that's what happened or not, but that was something that did cross my mind. So there's just baby oil all over the freaking place. Okay, and now in the bedroom, what was found in the Louis Vuitton bag? The agent said medication in the name of Frank Black. Okay, so Frank Black, we heard this name before from Cassie. She said this is one of the names that Diddy would use as an alias. Like she even had him in her phone under FB for Frank Black. She said sometimes it'll be Frank White. So now we have prescription bottles for Frank Black. And I do just want to mark this here because a lot of my predictions and speculations have already come true. So I do want to speculate and make them while I am having them. So it's not like, oh yeah, after the fact, oh yeah, I thought that. But like, I just want to put it right here. I think somehow, some way, every time they're talking about these doctors giving medication prescriptions, I just can't help but think of Kim Porter, who was given certain medications, who was treated by this doctor that I guess Diddy had probably come over there. Like she didn't go to the hospital ever, and she just like died in her own house. And this doctor is so sketchy looking, in my opinion. Like he's like basically 1-800 doctor and like he does house calls or whatever, but it's like you just kind of like see the context of all this. And like Diddy is paying people off. Like Cassie even said that there was doctors, or one of these witnesses on the first 3 witnesses said one of the that they had doctors that would write Diddy prescriptions under like Frank Black or whatever, Frank, or under someone's name. Cassie said sometimes they would use her name. And of course, as we have heard Cassie testify, she became addicted to specifically prescription, like she was taking prescription opiates. And so Frank Black, he's still at it, it seems. Cassie's saying that she's clean and sober. She's done. Went to rehab, and she's done went to treatment or spa or whatever she did. And she's now, not in like an active addiction state. But here's Frank Black with bottles and bottles and bottles on top of bottles right here in a hotel room the day he was arrested. That's the thing too. You didn't think, like, that's bold. That's bold and brazen. Like, they found all this stuff the day before he knew he was under investigation, and this is in his room. That is freaking crazy. And like hearing this makes me remember, or just further drives home the memory, makes me remember even more so that we've been kind of hyping up Cassie's testimony because she is the star witness by default, because she is the person who is the main victim 1, right? So we've been kind of like, oh my God, Cassie, oh my God. But like, you got to remember, y'all, we're 2 weeks into an 8-week trial. So there's like 6-7 more weeks left to go. Who knows what else is going to be said? I mean, just in this first few questions, we get so much more information. And we did know this, right? We did know this, but like just seeing it and setting the scene and knowing that a jury is now looking at pictures of it. Okay. So what's in the LV bag? Medication in the name of Frank Black. And that's this. Oh, what is this? The agent says bags of pink powder found in the medicine bottle. So there's a medicine bottle, and in the medicine bottle, there's pink powder. Stipulation shown agreeing it was found and tested. Okay, so the pink powder found, it was tested, and Customs and Border Patrol. What the hell? Why is the Customs and Border Patrol lab? Is this about to go international somehow? Or is this just who tests pink powder? Maybe, I mean, I could see that maybe that's just who tests pink powder, because they deal with it the most, customs, like coming in and out of the country, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I find it to be interesting that that's who tested it, but both parties agreed. Yeah, they tested it. Like both parties did stipulate this is real. This is authentic findings of what was found. It was pink powder. It was tested by customs. Okay. So interesting. The assistant U.S. attorney then starts to read from the stipulation. She's reading. So a stipulation is where both parties in the lawsuit agree to something. Like, we're not going to argue either side. Nobody's arguing against it. We all agree. Fine. We'll agree to the authenticity of the tests. And they're like the pink powders. They're reading from this agreement between the two parties. And everyone agrees, quote, the pink powder was found to be K. And it rhymes with schmetamine. Okay. Also, they found MD to the M and also having an A in that bottle. All right. So then physical evidence is then passed around physically to the jury. And then a photo is shown. Next question to the agent is, all right, so what was found in the black mini pack bag? The agent said $9,000. All right. Could you please take that cash out of the bag? The agent takes the cash out of the bag and starts to fan it and wave it around the courtroom, fanning the bills out like a fan and waving it and showing everybody what the $9,000 looked like. All right. The prosecutor said, okay, nothing further. The judge said, any cross-examination? All right, y'all. This is where it starts to get even more interesting. Cross-examination. Now we're going to have Teeny Garagos come up. I guess they gave Anna Estevallo the rest of the day off. Teeny Garagos, Mark Garagos' daughter. Again, I just want to mark and flag for y'all that the web is webbing with Mark Garagos because this is Mark Garagos' daughter. Mark Garagos has a podcast with Harvey Levin, for one, and that's a TMZ guy. So Diddy obviously has some type of in at TMZ just through that. I mean, it's public. Like, this is like degrees of separation. But Mark Garagos and Teeny Garagos have both spoken publicly on that podcast about this specific case. Now, something else interesting is that Jonathan Oddie, the alleged purported self-proclaimed S-slave of Diddy and Cassie, the one who went pew-pew at the Trump Hotel in 2018, he still hasn't been convicted of that. He still hasn't gone to trial for that. Very interesting to me. That guy said that the person who negotiated his settlement agreement, drafted it up, one of the two lawyers was Mark Garagos. Okay. So Mark Garagos, according to Jonathan Oddie, which who knows if what he had said was true or not, but some of it did turn out to be true and was confirmed by Cassie. He's the one who Cassie thought had recorded a video of her doing a FO, and then she was like threatening somebody's life in order to get the video, but she thought also that Jonathan Oddie had recorded a video of a FO. And in fact, and indeed, he does claim that he did record a video. He says all of this in that 2018 interrogation, and he says, I was settled with Diddy, but as a result, I couldn't talk about the settlement. And I started to get followed around, and it's these evil, evil lawyers. And one of the lawyers is this lady, this girl right here is Daddy. Okay. Now she's asking questions about what was found in the hotel room when Diddy was arrested. Like, I guess in September. I don't know when he was arrested. I think it was in September. So Teeny Garagos, Mark Garagos' daughter, comes up to the stand. She's talking, asking questions now on Diddy's side, for Diddy's behalf, on Diddy's behalf. She says, in the hotel room, Special Agent Benda, did you see any bags and clothing indicating that a woman was staying with him there? The agent said, yes. All right. So whoever this woman is, this alleged so-called woman, okay, there was bags, clothing, or some other indication that a woman was staying with Diddy there. All right. That's the only question. That's the only question Diddy's lawyer asks. And remember, what is the name of these lawyers? What is their job? Defense lawyers. They are supposed to create a reasonable doubt in the mind of the jurors that Diddy did these things he's accused of doing. So the only question in Diddy's defense of this whole entire agent found what he found, what she found at the scene, et cetera, is, did you see any bags indicating that a woman was staying there? She said yes. And so what do you think Diddy's team is going to do? Throw that woman under the bus. Say, oh, well, it was that woman. Nothing's ever Diddy's fault. Y'all have to recognize that with Diddy, nothing's ever his fault. Okay. Nothing is ever Diddy's fault. He never did anything. It's always the women around him fault. And in this case, it looks like they're going to be teeing up to make that defense here as well. Because look, what did you find here? Oh, $9,000. She's fanning the $9,000 all the way around the courtroom and everything. She's all right. Nothing further. Diddy's lawyer gets up and says, did you see women's stuff in that hotel room? Look like a woman was staying with him. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Nothing further. We're going to go moving on. So then, all right, 21 hours ago, the judge said, all right, the government can call its next witness, Dawn Richard. My cousin, I just found out. We didn't do a blood test, but we got to be related. Okay, where are you from? New Orleans, Louisiana, she said. And this is the feds asking Dawn Richard questions. I'm saying Richard because that's how she says name, and that is how it's said. So, Sometimes I might accidentally say Richard because I've been saying that for a year. Okay, so from 2004 to 2011, who did you work for? She said Sean P. Pathetic Holmes. Do you see him here today in the courtroom? She said yes, and she pointed to him. Or she, described him. And she said, who is depicted in this photo? Dawn said, Cassie. All right, so in 2009, did you observe in 2009? All right, so just to give you a little what's it called? Foreshadowing or whatever, a little spoiler alert, what's to come down the pipeline. Mark Agnifilo doesn't want any of this testimony in. Remember, we just saw him objecting when we started the video. He was objecting to any of Dawn Richard's testimony coming in because Cassie didn't testify about the Dawn Richard incident. So because of that, Agnifilo's like, you can't just bring this up out of nowhere. There's no foundation. The judge is like, you just bring this up at 3:00. What, like, I seriously don't know what you think I'm supposed to do at this point. So Dawn does get called up. And she's up on the stand. She's talking, obviously. In 2009, did you observe an incident between Puff and Cassie? Dawn said, yeah, she was attacked by Sean Combs. He kicked, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we are going to look at the other sources. We're going to look at the other sources as well and see what they put in here. But I just want to run through the Inner City Press version first so we can get a full timeline of what they talked about in the story and stuff. She said, yes, she was attacked by Combs. He kicked her. Did you see more violence by Diddy against Cassie? Dawn said, often. So then they put up a picture of the Diddy Dirty Money band, the group. When were you a member of this group? Dawn said 2009 to 2011. Okay, and the incident in 2009 when Diddy beat Cassie, where did the incident take place? She said it happened at Diddy's LA home. We were recording. And what did he do? The prosecutor asked. Well, he was saying, where the F is my food? He grabbed a black skillet with eggs. He tried to hit her over the head. Cassie dropped to the ground. And then what did she do? Then she fell into the fetal position. And then what? Well, Diddy was kicking her in the head and body and then dragged her up to the first floor. So then he dragged her. Glass was breaking. He was yelling. I was scared for her and I was scared for myself too. Did you intervene, Miss Richard? No. Did you call the police? No. Then the next day, what happened? Well, then the next day, Diddy apparently told Dawn, this has been a passionate relationship. This is real. This is true love. When a man and a woman love each other, this is how they act. Cassie's okay also. She's fine. But it would be better if we just didn't talk at all about the incident. Because then if we do, then people could end up missing. That's what Dawn said. Now, she also did file a lawsuit September against Diddy. Civil lawsuit. And she's represented by Lisa Bloom. So that's Gloria Allred's daughter. I mean, this is a pretty heavy hitter. This ain't no freaking Tony Busby. I can tell you that. Okay, Lisa Bloom on the case. Watch out. Just watch out. I don't want to be on the other side of a Lisa Bloom lawsuit. You know what I mean? She's a big wig out here in this industry. I think she also represented Black China in her divorce against what's his name, Rob Kardashian or something. Anyway, this has been so in Dawn's lawsuit, she does give a little bit more details, like the fact that I think she left. She left the house after this whole Cassie beating incident. And then Diddy like called her to come back and then acted like nothing happened. But Diddy, she testified yesterday. It would be better if we didn't talk about the incident where Diddy was beating Cassie with a skillet because then people could end up missing. And then the prosecutor said, okay, but and what did you take that to mean whenever he said people could end up going missing? She said, I took it to mean death, like that he would unalive me. Hold on, I lost my spot. Okay, so when she said death, then Diddy's lawyers did an objection. They were objection. And the judge calls them up to the side for a sidebar. And then that's one of the little side secret meetings where they're, having a little secret meeting. They come back from the sidebar and the judge says, jurors, you can leave. Just go. Just get out of here. This was, I think, 10 or 15 minutes before court was over. This was probably about 4:45 yesterday. Jurors, you can leave for the weekend, the judge says. Watch the Yankees play the Mets or the Knicks. If you're not into sports, there's a lot going on. Just stay away from the Diddy news, like you're required to do. And also, Miss Richard, you can go too. Goodbye. See you Monday. Okay, so then they get to arguing about Dawn's testimony and about what she's testifying about. So far, what she has testified about is an incident that occurred in 2009 that she saw where Diddy was hitting Cassie with a skillet. The judge, again, remember, the jury and Dawn just left already, and it's Friday, so they're not going to come back till Monday. So the judge is like, okay, before we leave, let's just figure this out last, 15 minutes or whatever of court, because this has been a freaking circus all day. It's been a clown show all day. Something's wrong with y'all. What's the deal? What is up with this line of testimony? Because clearly Mark Agnifilo and the rest of Diddy's team do not want even Dawn Richard to even be up on the stand talking. They do not even want her to be up on the stand talking at all, because they saying that she is testifying about an incident that is irrelevant and shouldn't come in at all, because Cassie herself didn't open the door for this. Cassie didn't talk about this incident happening. And so for that reason, Dawn Richard shouldn't be allowed to come in here and just talk about every old thing she ever saw. So the judge is like, what is going on with this? The prosecutor said, okay, Your Honor, it should come in. It's relevant because it shows a few things. Count one, I think that's the racketeering. It shows consciousness of guilt. It shows that Diddy is conscious and aware that what he's doing is wrong, what he's doing is bad and illegal. And also it's relevant to count one because of the fact that it was a threat. It was a threat of violence. And this shows the means and methods of which he would do the enterprise. It was violence. He's threatening people. It's don't say nothing, people go missing. Mark Agnifilo, with the same defense that they always use, and I do see the Media Matters bots have started to, the bots and the paid actors LARPing as influencers and content creators, they have also started to parrot this defense strategy, which is this might be domestic violence, but y'all should have charged him with that within the statute of limitations, buddy. This is not racketeering. This is not ST. It's just beating your wife. That's beating your girlfriend. That's a different crime. Y'all should have charged him with that. I mean, that's pretty much the whole defense. And that Cassie was consenting to a lot of this. So he says, Agnifilo says that is not ST. Consciousness of guilt and relevant to count one. No, that's not ST. The judge said, why didn't you bring Agnifilo again? Why didn't you bring a motion in limine on this? This stuff all has to be motion and limine out. You supposed to be asking me this stuff in writing before right now for sure. I mean, the girl has already been on and off the stand. What are you doing? He said, I didn't know Cassie wasn't going to talk about the Dawn Richard incident. I thought she was, but she didn't. So now that she didn't, Dawn Richard shouldn't be able to come in. Agnifilo continues, we can't sit here and say Cassie did anything because of this event, because she didn't even talk about this one. So this is rank speculation. The judge said, but she was there. Agnifilo said, yeah, but she doesn't know the effect on Cassie Ventura, which doesn't matter. I mean, I obviously would need more context, like the full transcript would be nice. She doesn't know the effect on Cassie Ventura. What does her knowing the effect on Cassie Ventura have to do with anything? All she has to testify to is what she knows. And it appears that's all she did testify to. And it does show consciousness of guilt if true. I don't know. Mark Agnifilo obviously is a professional. Maybe he knows what he's talking about, but the judge said, okay, who's the next witnesses then? The prosecutor said, Carrie Morgan. That is Cassie's, Carrie Morgan is Cassie's former best friend. of like 17 years they were best friends. And Cassie testified that Carrie Morgan, in the very, very beginning of Cassie and Diddy's like romantic relationship, Cassie thought maybe Diddy was like actually attracted to Carrie Morgan instead of her and stuff like that. But they were best friends, Carrie Morgan and Cassie. And Carrie Morgan and Cassie were about to do some substances together back in some like year. I don't remember which year it was, but Diddy like came in, saw they were about to do it, and like hit this friend in the head with a wooden hanger. And then they settled. Like Diddy paid her a settlement for that, but also Cassie. This is all stuff that Cassie testified to. Cassie testified with her former best friend. Sorry. Cassie testified that her former best friend is no longer her best friend anymore. They don't even talk anymore. She might have sent her one text message since all this. And Cassie and Diddy both paid settlement amounts out to Carrie Morgan. She's coming to be a witness. She is the next witness after Dawn Richard. At least that's what we're being told right now. And also, the next witness after that is a man by the name of David James. Now, who is David James? I do not know. Your guess is as good as mine. The judge says, that's it. So that's it. I'll have a word in the robing room with Miss Comey and Mr. Agnifilo. I don't need a court reporter. I am concerned about this. Okay. I am not happy with this at all. I'm getting a little bit I'm getting very concerned. I've been a little bit concerned. I'm getting very concerned about all the super secret, sneaky backroom letters that are being filed with this judge that aren't going on the docket. This is not how it usually works in the Southern District of New York, according to Inner City Press. He's cited other judges that do have these little super sneaky backroom meetings and have these super sneaky little letters, but then they're on the docket like that day. So the fact that the judge specifically said, I don't need a court reporter is scary. That shows me that the judge himself is wanting to go off of the record and talk to both sides of this. I mean, this is the trial of the century since freaking what? OJ Simpson? I mean, this is a big one. And we're having so many things filed off the record. They never hit the docket. So much stuff happening behind closed doors. They're not letting people see. They're not letting people hear. And now I was over here saying, I don't think that the public should be seeing the FO tapes. And I stand by that. I don't think they should, especially where it's just really nasty stuff. People's getting peed on and stuff. It's nasty. There's many reasons for that. I won't get into all of them right now. But if you're going to have such substantial evidence such as the tapes and stuff like that hidden from the public view, which again, I see why. I'm not even arguing against that. Every single thing else in the trial just needs to be super transparent, because one of the reasons the public is supposed to have access to all this stuff is to make sure that everything is fair. People are deserving of a fair trial. And if everything is secret, sneaky in the back, it's not nothing to stop somebody from paying off a judge. And then how do you ever check? That super secret, sneaky meeting in the rooms yesterday was not recorded by a court reporter. And so we don't have a transcript, and we will never have a transcript. I'm concerned about that. I personally find it concerning. I do. I find it concerning as a member of the public. Okay. Now I want to go to the New York Times and just start again from where we left off yesterday. And I just want to fill in more details. We're going to go down the line and do this. So I think this was the last one I read yesterday. Anna Estevallo, the lawyer for Diddy, was suggesting that Cassie's relationship with Diddy had given her career opportunities, including chances to record with major artists, including Kid Cudi, who she ended up dating, Lil Wayne, and they were trying to undercut the prosecution's assertion that Cassie's career floundered in their relationship. Because see, Cassie was saying, I was an up-and-coming artist, and basically Diddy shelved me. Like, I had a 10-album deal with Bad Boy, and I was only able to do one album, never could do another album. And then so here comes Diddy's lawyers like, yeah, but didn't you record with Kid Cudi? Yeah, but didn't you record with Lil Wayne? Yeah, but didn't you have Britney Spears at your birthday party? Quote, you were given opportunities. in terms of your ability to access contacts in the entertainment industry, weren't you? Cassie said, yeah, sometimes, but also earned as well. The defense asked Cassie about Diddy's. This is Julia Jacobs, New York Times, yesterday. End of the day, right as Cassie's questions she was being asked were just wrapping up. I am jumping to like different, I am going to different sources and I'm going back to where I left off yesterday. I'm just going straight up. So the defense asked Cassie about Diddy's tendency to be, quote, controlling, suggesting that she might not have received special treatment as a singer in his label. Were you aware of him being controlling of other artists? She said, yes, I was aware. Yes, I was aware he was controlling of other artists. Yeah. So I guess, I don't know what the point is, to show that maybe Cassie wasn't being treated any differently from anybody else at the label. Like maybe Diddy's just a controlling weirdo or something. Okay. But Cassie's like, yeah. Okay, same person, Julia Jacobs, May 16th. That's yesterday. She says, New York Times, she says, Cassie confirmed on the witness stand that she made a legal demand of the owner of the hotel where Diddy assaulted her in 2016. Excerpts from the hotel's surveillance video were published on CNN last year. Cassie confirmed she anticipated receiving a settlement of about $10 million, and she said she reached the settlement over the past month. Okay, so we get some more details here. We get a quote. This is interesting. The defense and prosecution went back and forth on their final stretch of questioning. So it'd be like, defense would ask a couple more, prosecutors would ask a couple more. Defense would ask a couple more, prosecutors would ask a couple more. And one question that the prosecutor asked, this is Emily A. Johnson, again, reported by Julia Jacobs, New York Times, is, quote, to Cassie, do you have any financial stake in the outcome of this trial? Cassie's answer, absolutely not. Cassie's testimony was over. Have a great weekend, the judge told her. Cassie stood up and walked out of the witness box with her hand on her pregnant belly. She's doing just like the AI song said, y'all. Gonna pull my video up and play it. I was running a little late today, so I just didn't play it. Okay, so then Julia Jacobs, who's been at the courthouse this whole week, she does now say a little bit of a wrap up of Cassie's testimony. She says, it's been an intense 4 days on the witness stand for Cassie, who has testified about harrowing physical abuse and graphic sexual situations. She has read aloud scores of intimate messages between herself and Diddy. The issue of consent and coercion came up again and again, as did her and Diddy's copious substance use during their relationship. She faced a barrage of final questions this afternoon, resulting in her breaking down briefly when a prosecutor asked her about violence during freak-off. She was like, did he ever beat you during a freak-off? And Cassie finally just broke down. Otherwise, Cassie spoke calmly and assuredly. Okay, we have another update from Anusha Baya from New York Times, also yesterday. When Cassie broke down on the stand during discussions of violence and coercion during the FOs, Diddy turned his head to the jury. Okay, yes, detail queen, yes, slay. She's letting us know what Diddy is doing in there. I'm so grateful. When Cassie broke down on the stand during discussions of violence and coercion during the freak-off, she started crying. Remember earlier in the week, it was like she was dabbing her face, but maybe she was just hot. She was sweaty or something. No, she started to cry. Many people reported it yesterday. When she started to cry, Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs couldn't help himself but to crane his neck over and look to the jury to scan and see how the crying was affecting the jury. He then passed a note to one of his lawyers. After his lawyer, Anna, finished one of her final rounds of questioning, Diddy gave her a hug. Okay, so he's hugging the lawyer. He just wants to hug. Okay, so now let's go to CNN. And okay. Hold on. Maybe it goes downward now. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Ooh, we got some good stuff. We got some good stuff on the CNN. Okay, good, cool. I didn't read this yet. Oh my God. Cassie's mom and former best friend are going to testify next week. Y'all, we got a lot of details. I'm just trying to find where I left off so we don't miss any. There's so much. Yes, Slay, look at my cousin. Look at her. Yes, make the Richards proud, girl. You go. She's going to send me a cease and desist. I am not your cousin. I'm just kidding. It's nothing but love for Dawn, y'all. I have nothing bad to say about her. That's my cousin. I do have some questionable cousins, though. Like somebody asked me if Beyonce was my cousin yesterday, and I couldn't even say no. She might be. I don't know. I'm just, wow. The CNN was after it yesterday. Wow. Wow. I'm going to be here a while right now, y'all. Golly. Cassie made a statement. Oh my gosh. There's so much stuff. Okay. We're close. Wow. Okay. This might be about it right here. I don't know exactly but I think we're around here. This is 23 hours, 49 minutes ago. The defense is back up with new questions. The prosecutor finished with redirect. Anna Estevallo came back up. Cassie was still on the stand. Diddy's lawyer, Estevallo, focused on Cassie's testimony that she feared Diddy would leave her if she refused the freak-offs. Estevallo asked her to confirm that she understood that part of being Diddy's girlfriend meant you had to have freak-offs. Cassie said, I would say I learned that over time. Yes, that part of being his girlfriend was that you had to have freak-offs. She said it was like a job. Bursting into tears, she says she'd give back the $20 million if she never had to do the freak-offs. The prosecutor asked her about the lawsuit that she settled with Diddy in 2023. She testified that she had gotten $20 million in that settlement. She said that if she'd give the money back, she would give the money back if it meant she never had to endure any freak-offs. I would give that money back if I never had to do them, she said. Bursting into tears, if I never had to do them, I would have had agency and autonomy. Audibly upset, she said, and I wouldn't have had to work so hard to get it back. She said she was able to break ties with Bad Boy Records, but she, quote, had to fight to get out of the contract. The defense attorney, Anna Estevallo, that's Diddy's attorney, asked Cassie to confirm that Diddy let her out of her recording contract when their relationship ended. She said, I had to fight my way out of that contract. But yes, eventually I was able to break ties, but it wasn't a walk in the park. So I'm not going to let you sit here and act like he just let me go, because he did not. Okay. The defense asked Cassie about high-level music industry contacts that she made through Diddy. The defense asked about the access she had to high-level contacts in the music industry because of her relationship with Diddy. The attorney asked her to confirm musical collaborations she did over the years with Nicki Minaj, Kid Cudi, Rick Ross, Pusha T. Ventura has previously testified that her relationship with Diddy ultimately stunted her music career, with only one album of the 10-album deal that she signed being released, in part because her participation in freak-offs became a whole other job. 23 hours, 19 minutes ago, the CNN.com reported Cassie finished testifying. She had finished testifying. The prosecutors and the defense attorneys took a quick break before the next witness. Next witness was announced Agent Yassine Abinda. We taken a stand at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Cassie revealed that she was set to receive about $10 million from the hotel where she was assaulted. She testifies that she recently reached about a $10 million settlement with the Intercontinental Hotel, where surveillance cameras captured Diddy dragging and kicking her in March 2016. The revelation came in response to a question from Diddy's attorney, Anna Estevallo, shortly before Cassie wrapped up her testimony. Cassie confirmed she had reached the settlement in the past month. So this month, y'all, $10 million settlement with the Intercontinental. That's on top of the $20 million settlement she got from Diddy. And I think settlements are tax-free. So that's like a 30 millionaire right there. Importantly, lawyers usually get like 20-30% of them unless you're paying them if they're on contingency. Okay, so I don't know if Cassie had a contingency deal with her lawyer. I don't know if she was I really don't know how much of the 20 million she actually got to keep, but I think it's tax-free. Okay, so the prosecutors 23 hours 1 minute ago wanted to fit in 2 more witnesses that afternoon, and they did indeed do that. Special Agent Yassine Binda, the next witness, is expected to take the stand about 45 minutes from that time. Prosecutors said they wanted Dawn to testify after Binda this afternoon because she flew across the country to be in court today. Defense lawyers and prosecutors are debating a previous. Okay, so before Dawn went on the stand yesterday, there was a lot of arguing back and forth about whether she could even go on the stand, what she could say on the stand. But there was a previous court order that regulated what she could and could not discuss. The prosecutor said Richard is expected, that's Dawn, to testify that she witnessed Diddy be violent with Cassie and observed Diddy and his security personnel with pew pew and in possession of drugs. She'll also say Diddy's staff threatened her to stay silent. Okay, so that is directly to the racketeering, right? A lot of people have been saying, where's the evidence of the racketeering? Well, there's, of course, as you understand, there's a lot of different elements of the racketeering charge. So one of the elements is that there was, in fact, an enterprise. People, including myself, have asked, how do you have an enterprise with no co-conspirators? I was watching Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer, who I absolutely adore. I love Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer. I freaking love him. Okay. He was saying he's a criminal lawyer. He knows how this stuff works. He was saying if there's a RICO with no co-conspirators, you can bet yourself. I'm paraphrasing. Y'all go watch his video. He just put it out yesterday. He said you can guarantee these are now cooperators. Okay, if they're not being listed as a co-conspirator, then they are a co-operator. They are going to testify. So in this, right? Dawn Richard is expected to testify that she was threatened by staff to stay silent about Diddy's violence. And that is part of the RICO you have to prove is an enterprise. There was people acting at Diddy's behest or whatever. The testimony was only supposed to take about 30 minutes. And I don't know that she was up on the stand for 30 minutes. I mean, they did leave early. Also, there's other stuff she was going to testify about, right? Like testifying to the violence, testifying to the assault, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so Slay, the Carhartt has sent me. Okay, there is statements being made now by Cassie and her husband. Here's Cassie's husband with his earring. And they're cute. The world has gotten to witness the strength and bravery of my wife. This is CNN.com reporting. Douglas Wigdor, Cassie's attorney, read a statement on behalf of Cassie's husband, Alex Fine, after Cassie finished testifying. Here's what the statement said, or some of it. Here's what Alex Fine, Cassie's husband, said in the statement. Quote, over the past 5 days, the world has gotten to witness the strength and bravery of my wife freeing herself of her past. There has been online speculation surrounding how it must feel for me to sit there and listen to my wife's testimony. I said, I can only speculate, but I speculate nothing, not one single thing that she said surprised him. He knew it all already, and he was probably just like proud of her. I don't think anything was like surprising to him. I don't think she was keeping secrets from him. I don't think there was a single gotcha. Like I said, I think he knows far more than what we just heard on the witness stand from Cassie. He says, y'all been speculating online about how it must feel for me to sit there and listen to my wife's testimony. I have felt so many things sitting there. I have felt tremendous pride and overwhelming love for Cass. I have felt profound anger that she has been subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. So to him and to all of those who helped him along the way, please know this. You did not. You did not break her spirit, nor her smile that lights up every room. You did not break the soul of a mother who gives the best hugs and plays the silliest games with our little girls. You did not break the woman who has made me a better man. I did not save Cassie, as some have said. To say that is an insult to the years of painful work that my wife has done to save herself. Cassie saved Cassie. She alone broke free from abuse, coercion, violence, and threats. She did the work of fighting the demons that only a demon himself could have done to her. All I've done, Cassie's husband says, is love her as she has loved me. Her life is now surrounded by actual love, laughter, our family. This horrific chapter is forever put behind us, and we will not be making additional statements. We appreciate all the love and support we have received, and we ask that you respect our privacy as we welcome our son into a world that is now safer because of his mom. And y'all, they're going to have their little boy now. That's sweet. Slay. Okay, then the next update from CNN.com. This is Ali Rosenblum reporting. The title is, quote, "This week has been extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering." Cassie herself made a statement, well, through her lawyer. Shortly following the conclusion of her testimony, her lawyer, Douglas Wigdor, read aloud a statement from Cassie outside of the New York courthouse. Quote, "This week has been extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering." This is a statement from Cassie herself. "Also remarkably empowering and healing for me. I hope that my testimony has given strength and a voice to other survivors and can help others who have suffered to speak up and also heal from abuse and fear. For me, the more I get to heal, the more I can remember. And the more I can remember, the more I will never forget. I want to thank my family and my advocates for their unwavering support, and I am grateful for all the kindness and encouragement that I've received. I'm glad to put this chapter of my life to rest. As I turn to focus on the conclusion of my pregnancy, I ask for privacy for me and for my growing family." Okay, moving to the next update from CNN. Cassie's off the stand. Here is a catch up on her testimony today. Nikki Brown, Lauren Del Val, Kara Scannell, and Elise Hammond reporting. Cassie finished her time on the stand today, answering questions from both sides in Diddy's federal criminal trial. Her testimony wrapped up after nearly 20 hours over 4 days on the witness stand. On Friday, she testified more about the physical abuse at the hands of Diddy and the drug-fueled freak-offs happening over the course of their more than a decade-long relationship. When Diddy's defense attorney finished her main cross-examination, Diddy stood up and hugged the lawyer when she returned to the defense table. I don't know why, because I would be firing that lawyer. Physical abuse, one category she testified about. The defense said Cassie believes Diddy was intoxicated, but said she couldn't objectively define whether he was in a, quote, blackout when he dragged and kicked her in the assault captured by the surveillance cameras. Cassie also accused Diddy of controlling behavior, testifying that he would take her phone or passport when he was mad at her. And that is on video too. He had her phone in his hand in the hotel. Then the prosecution redirect got up, and that's whenever Cassie said there were times that Diddy didn't remember physically abusing her, but there were times where he was pretty aware of what he was doing. She also added, it's just who he was, and that she had seen him be violent with other people. Now, sort of looks like maybe his defense team is starting to tee up for a possible, he has bipolar or he has like episodes, some mental health thing defense. But again, I was watching Bruce Rivers, criminal lawyer, and he was saying that if that comes into play at all, the only thing that you could bring up, like, oh yeah, he was having like a bipolar episode, and that's why he blacked out and beat Cassie, which I'm not saying that, y'all. I'm not saying that is even a reasonable defense. But if it comes up at all in trial or if it is usable at all, it's only if like Diddy's already convicted and then on sentencing, it's like, well, he did have a medical condition that made him a little bit more whatever. Maybe we can knock off 5 years or whatever. But it's like, it doesn't actually bear on whether he's guilty or not. He can't be like, oh, not guilty by reason of I have bipolar. Like, no, that's no, you can't do that. And Cassie said, though, no, this is just who he was. And I saw him be violent with other people. Then Cassie also yesterday testified about the RAPE allegation. The defense other texts were presented to the jury showing Diddy and Cassie going back and forth about dating and seeing other people. In 2018, the defense asked questions about where those texts fell on the timeline of events that year after Cassie alleged that Diddy R'd her. But then the prosecution asked her if she had any doubt that Diddy R'd her in 2018. Cassie said, no doubts. Cassie also testified about the freak offs. The jury saw a text exchange in which Cassie said she was going to tell Diddy she didn't want to participate in these freak offs anymore. But ultimately, she didn't say so because of how he was reacting. They also heard a recording of Cassie threatening a man in March 2014. And I wonder if this is the Jonathan Oddie tape. Because that is 2014 is allegedly the year that he reached that settlement agreement with Diddy. And, Daily Mail put out what they purport to be a signature page of the settlement agreement, which coming from Oddie's ex-wife. He apparently allegedly got $5 million from Diddy. They shortly after divorced. And then 4 years later, Oddie is pew-pewing up the Trump Doral, whatever, hotel. And now Oddie is being mentioned in this case. So I wonder if the tape that Cassie is threatening that man over, threatening that man's life over is the Jonathan Oddie one. Okay. Let's see. I'm just stretching. Okay. The prosecution then redirected about the freak-offs, and Cassie testified that she felt like she had a, quote, whole other job and was basically an S worker when asked about how the freak-offs interfered with her music career. The judge granted a defense motion to strike when she said, I was basically a S worker. She also testified about text messages. And these messages from March and May 2019, after they had broken up, and again, I think Cassie was maybe pregnant right around this time, Diddy texted Cassie in part, quote, sending you love. And it's probably he got jealous. He probably saw she was pregnant and he still felt like that was his property. And he's like, oh, I still got love for you. Sending you love, told her she was going to make a beautiful mother. Cassie testified she was pregnant. In later messages, Diddy told her things like his life has, quote, definitely been rough without her friendship. And he has nothing but love for her always. But then the prosecution redirected, and in response to a question about the messages, the jury saw where Diddy and Cassie expressed love for each other throughout the defense's questioning. And then Cassie testified that there were times when Diddy was kind and loving, but they just didn't last. Cassie said her and Alex and their kids moved into her parents' Connecticut home in October 2023, the month before she filed her lawsuit. But the reason for that was because they were transitioning to live on the East Coast. The defense asked if she had canceled her tour around the same time that she found out she was going to be getting a $20 million civil lawsuit investment. She said, I didn't cancel my tour because I got all this money. She said she canceled her tour because she didn't want to be away from her kids, and she was overwhelmed with the civil lawsuit and all the news, and she just didn't want to go. Cassie testified that she would give the settlement money back if it meant she never had to endure the freak-offs. She burst into tears, and she said, if I would have never had to do the freak-offs, I would have had agency and autonomy. Okay, then the next update, still CNN.com. Cassie was only one part of the case, the former prosecutor says. So this is being reported by CNN, Tori B. Powell, and we're getting a little bit of analysis on how Cassie's just one part of this case. Don't weigh it all out just yet. Don't make your mind up just yet. I mean, I certainly haven't. Cassie, key witness and Diddy's ex-girlfriend, wrapped up her testimony today after 4 days on the stand, but her account is only one piece of the puzzle for the prosecutors to prove Diddy is guilty in his federal criminal trial, according to Paul Martin, a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. I think this is just one part of the case, he told CNN today, or this was yesterday. Quote, she is a linchpin, but it's not the entire case, and there will be other witnesses that will come in, either to corroborate her testimony or to impeach it. There's going to be some witnesses that corroborate these free thoughts and whether force was used or not. But she's definitely a very compelling witness because of the relationship she had with Diddy. The prosecutors over the next few weeks will still need to prove Diddy's engaged in racketeering, ST, and transportation to engage in blank stitution. All charges the rap mogul has pleaded not guilty. Quote, this is a case about a RICO, which is a Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act case, and whether there's a pattern or behavior of activities that was that violence to force SEX out of this young lady. Okay. I don't know if this is quoted correctly. He's like, this is a RICO case. So what it's going to come down to is whether there was a pattern of behavior or a pattern of activities. That was the violence to force SEX out of this young lady. Okay. So that was the violence, the pattern of the violence. The jury came back into the courtroom about 23 hours ago. Then this is okay. So remember, we're on CNN.com. This is our third source on this video today. First, we started with Inner City Press Twitter. Then we went to New York Times. Now we're on CNN. And I'm just covering the ground I missed yesterday because I left early. I left about 3:15 yesterday. And the court wasn't over. There was another hour and 15 of court. So I'm covering it now so that on Monday we can just hit the ground running for my cousin Dawn Richard if they can let her back on the stand. The jury came back in the courtroom yesterday, and then this is that at the time, according to the CNN recap that we're reading, that Special Agent Yassine Binda was called to the stand. Special agent who handled the logistics for Diddy's arrest. The prosecutor was questioning Yassine Binda, a Homeland Security Investigation special agent who works in the HT Ficking division at the department. She confirmed that she did handle the logistics for Diddy's arrest on September 16th, 2024. She said she personally searched the room at the Park Hyatt where Diddy was staying. The jury then saw photos from law enforcement's search of the hotel. The jury was seeing images from the search of the hotel after the 2024 arrest. The jury saw photos of the hotel room and Ziploc bags filled with Johnson's baby oil and lubricant. And these were recovered from the entryway closet. So it was in the closet. They had put it in the closet. It wasn't all out in the open. More bottles of baby oil and lubricant were found in the bathroom and elsewhere in the room, the special agent said. The jury saw a photo of the collected oils. So the jury's looking at pictures of these I guess it's like baby oil bottles, and then like the bottles themselves are inside a Ziploc bag, so it's like you don't get the baby oil all over the place or whatever. Which I don't know why they care, because the baby oil gets all over the place anyway when they do the FOs. The jury also saw a photo. Okay, this I want to see. Remember how I told you, like, I don't want to see any photos or evidence of like actual like the freak offs happening, but like I would absolutely love to see with no humans in the shot or anything like that, just what this mood lighting is. Because they've been talking about like how since they announced it, remember that Damian Williams, when he was the like district attorney or whatever for the Southern District, he was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District. He was saying that there was like mood lighting, like these are highly orchestrated SUL performances called freak offs. Like it was like a performance. There was lighting. The jury saw a photo of a lighting device that was found in the living room. Again, huge hotel room, right? There's rooms and rooms. The special agent said she would describe it as, quote, potentially mood lighting, but she doesn't know. A bottle of medication with the name, quote, Frank Black was found in a Louis Vuitton bag on a nightstand in the bedroom. Now, I want to know, are they going to come out and say there was a fake passport that says Frank Black on it or something? I mean, they keep bringing up this name, Frank Black. Cassie also said Diddy would go by Frank Black. And there was a text message exchange where she was talking to Diddy and she said that the FB meant Frank Black. She said sometimes you go by Frank White as well. So a bottle of medication with the name Frank Black was found in a Louis Vuitton bag on a nightstand in the bedroom. The label on the bottle said the medication was clonazepam. Okay, more details coming from CNN. Clonazepam, I believe, is like is that a benzo? It's like in the same family along with like Xanax, I think, and Ativan. I think that's what clonazepam is. Maybe it's like clonadine's a different thing, right? Clonopin. Is Clonopin the same thing as clonazepam? I don't know. Somebody that's a doctor or something that knows more pharmacological or something needs to say. Okay. Also found in the room 2 little bags with pink powder. They were found inside another bottle of medication. Oh my gosh, y'all. I have to pull up Kim Porter's freaking autopsy report right now. I just had a galaxy brain. Bear with me. I have to pull up Kim's autopsy report. Oh my God. Hope it's easy to find. Hold on. Kim Porter, when she passed, in her room, they found some stuff. They found a sleeping medication in her room that was not prescribed to her. Okay. In Kim Porter's, oh my God, where's her freaking Kim Porter? Oh, I don't think it's a paper autopsy report. Okay. Oh my God, hold on. Oh my God. Let me see. I have this video right here. It's 37 minutes long. Oh yeah, this is a good one. We're going to have to watch that one. Scooter Braun is in it. Taylor Swift is in it. Oh, this is a good one. Oh my God. Okay. Trump is in it. Oh, look. We're gonna have to go over that later, y'all. But this is just, I wanted to mark it. I want to start marking these thoughts when I have them. Yeah, exactly, girl from yonder. Okay, wait. Michelle D, thank you. Clonazepam is a prescription medication belonging to the benzodiazepine class. Okay, thank you. It's the same as Klonopin. Thank you, time travelers. Chest, leafy legacies, belongs to a group of medicines called benzodiazepines, used to control seizures, fits due to epilepsy, involuntary muscle spasms, panic disorder, and sometimes restless leg syndrome. Yeah, you can get highly addicted to these too. Heaven said, I already know what happened. Heaven Lee said they poisoned Kim and made it look like pneumonia. I think so too. I'm starting to think that. I don't know. I don't know, because officially I got to say, I have her autopsy report somewhere around here. Maybe I'll bring it out for Monday or something. But like there was a sleep medication found in Kim Porter's death scene. I have a video of this. I'll go over that too. I'm doing this from memory. I just tried to find I need to go to like FedEx or Kinko's or whatever and have them like scan it so I can make a digital copy of this autopsy report for Kim Porter. But this is reminding me of that. Like, who was it prescribed to? Frank Black? Who was it prescribed to? And they're doing something very shady at the Los Angeles coroner, in my opinion, because somebody else, what's her name? She wears the tinfoil hat. Ooh, what's her name? The lady on YouTube, the girl on YouTube, she wears Noor Jasmine, maybe is her name. She wears a tinfoil hat. She requested Kim Porter's autopsy report, and she made a video on Kim Porter's autopsy a few months before I did. And in her video, and I didn't watch hers through before I made my video, because I will sometimes watch a little bit of people's videos, but I don't watch the full videos through because I kind of want to make my own. I want to read it myself and make my own mind up. But then after I made my video, I went back and watched the Noor Jasmine video on Kim Porter's autopsy results. And on the one they sent to her months before me, the doctor's name was shown. Dr. something Farzam, Farzam. On the autopsy results they sent to me for Kim Porter, they redacted the freaking doctor's name, Dr. Farzam. Oh my God. And I think somehow that Dr. Farzam is related to the Kanye West story. I think he might have been one of the ones treating him whenever the Harvey Pasternak thing happened. That was also in 2016. Now, we're hearing that just last year, not even a year ago, now Diddy had some clonazepam, which is not a sleeping medication. This is like seems to be more like a anxiety, panic, and or some of y'all were saying in the chat, seizure, restless leg medication, whatever. But then you got big homie CC recently going and saying that you can get on somebody's channel, who was it, Pierce Morgan, that he thinks he got cyanide poisoned, and cyanide can make you have pneumonia. Also, don't forget Kim Porter's other weird thing about Kim Porter's autopsy report is that she died from supposedly pneumonia. She had no flu in her system, no flu, no form of the flu. She had no viruses in her lungs. But in her blood, she had fecal bacteria. Some people have said this is because your bowels can, leak after you die, and then that can get in your bloodstream. But that doesn't make sense to me, because if your blood is not circulating through your body, I'm not sure how it could get in your bloodstream. If the blood ain't circulating, the heart ain't beating because you're dead. Even if your bowels burst, how would it be in your blood? I don't know. I'm not an expert, y'all. I'm not, truly. I went to high school biology. I think I made a C in college biology. It's one of the only C's I ever made in my life. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, they found this Frank Black bottle of medication, clonazepam, in Diddy's room. Also, 2 little bags with pink powder found inside another bottle of medication in a nightstand. Right, and on Kim Porter's nightstand, there was medication. The pink powder in one of the bags tested positive for K-etamine, and the other tested positive for MDMA and ketamine, according to a stipulation read in court. Now, this is important because yesterday also, Diddy's lawyers brought up a text message exchange between Cassie and Diddy, where Diddy said, we got to have a freak off without the K to the eta to the mean. Okay. He said to Cassie, we got to do it without ketamine because I don't like ketamine. I don't like it. Okay. So his lawyers yesterday, before this special agent came up onto the stand, his lawyers yesterday were arguing and trying to make it seem like Diddy don't like ketamine. However, when he was arrested and in his room, indeed and in fact, according to Special Agent Yasin Binda, the pink powder was ketamine and MDMA, according to the stipulation. Everyone agrees. Even Diddy's lawyers agree. It's a stipulation. That means everyone agreed. The jury also saw cash found in Diddy's hotel room and inspected evidence bags of drugs. Okay, so the special agent testified that $9,000 in cash was found in a black fanny pack hanging off of the bed. That is another interesting piece of context. He had $9,000 in cash in a fanny pack hanging off the bed. The jury saw a photo of the fanny pack. Now, in and of itself, I don't see how just like having $9,000 in cash is some type of something bad. But I think once it's added to everything else that was found in the room, it can start to look a little bit like, what were you doing with that 9,000? Were you about to pay somebody? Did somebody hide out? And like, who was this lady in the room? Why was the fanny pack of 9,000 on the bed posed? Now he might say, I just need cash to carry around. Like, I just need it. I have stores, I have whatever. But again, I think he was anticipating getting arrested or turning himself in like the next day. But if he had done that, how would this stuff would have been found? At the prosecutor's request, Yasin Binda took the cash out of the fanny pack that was in the bag. She fanned it out for the jury to see. The jury also passed around an evidence bag holding the 2 bags of K and MDMA, the pink powder that was found in the room. So they put the pink powder in an evidence bag and passed it around for the jury to look at it. That's compelling. The defense is now cross-examining the special agent involved in Diddy's arrest. The prosecutor finished up her direct questioning, and then Diddy's attorneys got a turn to question Yasin Binda, the special agent who did search Diddy's room, searched his room when he was arrested, his hotel room. It seems to have been like a suite. It had a living room. It had a more than one room. It's rooms plural within this hotel room. The defense is now cross-examining. So this is 22 hours, 38 minutes ago. Prosecutor, okay, so Teeny Garagos stepped up to cross-examine Binda. So Teeny's doing this one instead of Ana Estevallo. Teeny just testified about the search of Diddy's hotel room following his 2024 arrest. Special agent said it appeared that a woman was staying with Diddy in a hotel at the time of his arrest. Yassine Binda, the special agent, testified that it appeared a woman was staying with Diddy in his Manhattan hotel room before he was arrested in 2024. She confirmed that detail when asked by defense attorney Teeny Garagos during cross-examination. She then left the stand. Okay, so then prosecutors 22 hours, 15 minutes ago call Dawn Richard to the stand. Former member of Danity Kane, a musical group formed by Diddy as part of the MTV reality series Making the Band. Okay, and a lot of people don't remember this, but Diddy was not the creator of Making the Band. You know, the first season of Making the Band ever was Lou Pearlman, who also has his own set of accusations, and he actually was convicted of like financial crimes, basically running like a Ponzi scheme and using little boys as part of it. You know, he had all this stuff going on, but like what he was accused of and wasn't charged with or wasn't actually convicted of was much, much more in depth than only that. He also like pretty much was on the run from the law. This guy was the one who did season 1 of Making the Band. Season 2 and on was Diddy in the Making the Band. So Dawn Richard, she was in the Making the Band show, and she also was chosen as a member. She also was in Diddy Dirty Money beyond just being in Making the Band. 22 hours, 17 minutes ago, Dawn said she saw Diddy attack Cassie in 2009. She worked for Diddy from 2004 to 2011. She said she knew Diddy by the nickname Puff and pointed to him to identify him in the courtroom when she was asked. She said she saw Cassie being attacked by Diddy in 2009. Quote, he came down the stairs screaming, belligerent, asking where his food was. And then he proceeded to hit Cassie over the head. He kicked her and beat her to the ground right in front of us. Leading up to the alleged assault in 2009, Richard was in the kitchen with Cassie, who was cooking eggs, she said. Diddy came downstairs and demanded to know where his eggs were, Richard testified. He then proceeded to come over to her and took the skillet with the eggs in it and tried to hit her over the head with it. And she fell to the ground, Cassie did. Quote, it didn't seem that it hit her fully, Richard added, saying that it seemed like Cassie had actually dropped to the ground because she anticipated getting hit in the head with the skillet. Quote, she went into the fetal position. Okay, so this right here is what Mark Agnifilo is saying. No, hold on. Cassie didn't testify about this incident. Dawn Richard shouldn't be able to testify about. What she have to do with this? This is uncharged acts. This is domestic violence at most. This isn't racketeering. Dawn still continued on. She said she didn't report this abuse because she was scared. She testified after she witnessed the altercation in the kitchen, Diddy dragged Cassie upstairs by her hair with his arm around her neck. Whoa. She said she could hear glass breaking and yelling from upstairs. Richard said she didn't say anything to intervene or call the police because she was afraid. She was, quote, scared to do anything in fear of what that might mean for me too, she said. The jury then got dismissed for the day because Agnifilo starts pitching a fit. Or somebody did. I don't know, Teeny or somebody. The judge told the parties. Okay. The judge dismissed the jury for the day, telling them the parties would stay behind to work after calling a sidebar over a defense objection, over Diddy's team's objection to Dawn's description of Diddy's threats. Because she was like, I was scared to death. I was scared. What do you mean? The prosecution and the defense were then discussing Dawn's testimony about Diddy's threats. The defense attorneys were having a discussion about the former Danity Kane singer Dawn Richard's testimony. Earlier, the judge indicated they would sidebar over the defense objection, Diddy's side's objection to Dawn's testimony. Just before the judge dismissed the jury, Dawn testified that she and another woman saw Diddy attack Cassie. And Dawn also testified Diddy encouraged these two women not to say anything about the assault. The next day, Diddy asked Dawn and the other woman, Kalina Harper. These are the two people that saw it. So I think they're the Diddy Dirty Money people. And this is just speculation on my part. If I could just add some in real quick. I think that Diddy did all of this on purpose as a show, to show Dawn and to show Kalina that what he was about and what he was capable of. And specifically that nobody is going to check him. And if you think you are, you're going to go missing. I think it was like on purpose. And of course, I do believe that Cassie, if what she's testified is true, which I find her to be pretty credible, she would have anticipated the skillet coming flying. She would have collapsed. And we've seen, the public at least has seen, maybe they didn't see it in court, footage of Cassie in the fetal position under a blanket in like an apartment or a hotel room. And it's Diddy being like, let's go for a walk in the park or whatever. It's like, there's evidence she goes into the fetal position. Also the CNN footage. She goes down in the fetal position, tries to protect her head. The next day, Diddy asked Richard and the other woman, Kalina Harper, to come to his house again. He brought them into the recording studio in his house and he locked the door. He told them that what they witnessed was, quote, passion. That's what lovers do. Diddy told them. Diddy told them, according to Dawn Richard's testimony, that, quote, she said, quote, it was in our best interest if we didn't say anything. Where he comes from, people go missing if they talk. He then gave them flowers. Like, Dawn's like, then he gave us flowers, which I found to be pretty weird. Okay. So we have some news here 21 hours ago. This is big news. Cassie's mother is going to testify. Breaking news, 21 hours ago, I guess. Not that breaking. Cassie's mom is going to testify next week. The prosecutor, Maureen Comey, said Carrie Morgan, which is Cassie's former best friend of 17 years, but they're not friends no more, and Cassie had to pay her a settlement because she got hit in the face with a hanger. Those are going to be the next witnesses after Dawn Richard finishes giving testimony. Richard, sorry. Ventura's mom also, Cassie's mom also among the witnesses expected to testify early next week. So early next week, so Monday, Tuesday, I'm assuming, is going to be Cassie's mom on the stand. Then they do an analysis about the Me Too movement. This case is really going to be a litmus test. I don't really think so. I think that we're like post Me Too now. And I think now everybody in society pretty much just ready to be like, let's take each case let's base each case on a case-by-case basis and just look at all the evidence. I think we're largely like beyond like every single person accusing every single person of a crime is definitely telling the truth and definitely a victim. However, that doesn't mean that I don't think that Cassie was. Okay. The judge previously yesterday had ordered everybody to turn over their full witness lists. Okay. By 5 p.m. on Sunday. However, 21 hours ago, we get an update on that. Okay. So I was thinking like, are we going to see the witness list? The witness list is going to be public. I mean, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be public because we're going to find out who the witnesses are once they come up on the stand. But look at this headline. The judge will not require full witness lineup to be disclosed after the prosecution raised concerns about witness tampering. The judge has heated concerns from prosecutors about disclosing the order of their witnesses too far in advance. He said he's not going to actually compel the attorneys to release the full lineup. The prosecutor had told the judge that the prosecution was concerned about potential witness tampering or obstruction. Because remember, victim 3 just up and disappeared. So what if that happens to other people? I mean, Natanya Rubin, who was a victim of the so-called Shine shooting, she has never wavered and never changed her story that it wasn't Shine that pew-pewed her and had left fragments of pew-pew in her face. She has always unwaveringly stated Diddy was the one who did that. Okay. So she said that during that trial, there was all these witnesses, I think 60, 80 witnesses from that club incident, and little by little by little, one by one by one, these witnesses just forgot, disappeared, didn't want to testify, refused to testify, couldn't be found. Like, just no witnesses left. So the prosecution seems to be kind of like maybe saying that Diddy might be capable of something like this, because they're like, Your Honor, please, you can't make us turn over a whole witness list, because they're going to go find these people and they're going to threaten them. That's what Diddy does. He obstructs. The defense had argued that they could better prepare exhibits for cross-examination if they knew who the witnesses were. If they knew the witness order ahead of time. But the judge ultimately sided with the prosecution's concerns. The judge is now off the bench and the court has concluded for the week, and they will return 9 a.m. on Monday. Okay, I don't need a recap. We already did that. All right, so now let's go to CBS. Okay. So yesterday, 3:26 p.m., CBS News reporting Alice Gaynor, defense questioning Cassie on the recross. The defense asked Cassie if she knew freak-offs were Diddy's sexual preference. She said, yeah. And then when asked if being Diddy's girlfriend meant that you had to participate in the freak-off, she said, I didn't know that it was a rule, but she said, I did come to realize and understand that it was. Cassie's testimony was over. The prosecution asked her if she had any pending lawsuits or financial stakes in the trial. She said no to both. Then they asked Cassie why she kept broken electronic devices. She said it's because she didn't want to bring them to the Apple store because she was scared of what was on them. The defense had another question for Cassie about an alleged settlement with the Intercontinental Hotel. The prosecutors objected, but the judge allowed it in. Cassie said yes, she did settle with the Intercontinental, and then the court ended for a break. Special agent was then called in to testify. The prosecutors called a special agent with Homeland Security investigations to the stand. She told the court that she conducts domestic and international investigations and is a crisis negotiator. She has shown photos of bags of Johnson's baby oil, bottles of Astroglide, and these were taken during the search at the Park Hyatt where Diddy was arrested in 2024. The agent said that she was the photographer, so she's the one who took the pictures herself. The agent testified that rugs were found in the search. She told the prosecutors that drugs, including EX. This is a new one. We didn't hear that reported in the first three sources. This is CBS. Medications were also found. The agent was also asked about a picture of a backpack, which she said contained $9,000. Now, was it a backpack? Was it a pack bag? Or was it a fanny pack? Because now I've heard three different things. The prosecutors had no further questions, and the defense started to cross-examine. Then Dawn Richard started to testify at 4:45 p.m. So she really only had 15 minutes anyway to really go, because the judge ends this court at 5. Singer Dawn Richard was called by prosecutors after hearing from Ventura and the special agent. Richard described physical violence against Cassie that she says she witnessed. She told prosecutors that she saw Diddy get violent with Cassie at his home in LA. She said she was at Diddy's house to record in his studio when the incident happened. Richard said Cassie was cooking breakfast for dinner. It was like a nighttime thing, I think. And then Diddy came downstairs and asked, where the F are my eggs? And then Richard said Combs grabbed the skillet of eggs and tried to hit Cassie with it, but then Cassie fell to the ground. So it didn't look like the skillet really did hit her that hard, or maybe it kind of hit her, but it was like she was anticipating getting hit. Ventura, Cassie, went into the fetal position and did not respond with physical force. So remember in the opening statements, that seems like it was years ago, but it was really only earlier this week. It was like Monday, this past Monday. The opening statements of Diddy's team said Cassie was just as violent and just as depraved and deranged as Diddy. She was so violent. So the prosecutors are having to kind of like provide evidence that no, she wasn't. Maybe she was violent sometimes, maybe she did some violence, but like she never even left so much as a mark on Diddy, whereas, she was getting really harmed. So look here, they're like, oh, look, she goes into the fetal position. She didn't even respond with any physical force. She didn't fight him back. She went into the fetal position. He started to punch her and kick her, Dawn said, her body and her head. And Cassie also testified that he just liked to kick her and hit her in the head, and she would just go into the fetal position and just try to protect her face at all costs. Richard testified that she was scared and didn't call the police. She said she was scared for Cassie, but she did not call cops. I had never seen anything like that before, Dawn testified. The next day, Diddy invited Richard and others back to his recording studio and locked the door. Dawn testified Diddy told them that what had happened was in the kitchen between him and Cassie was something, quote, passionate and what people in relationships do. He then gave Dawn and Kalena flowers. The jury was dismissed for the day and will return to hear more testimony Monday morning. Okay, that was all we had from CBS. So now let's go to Washington Post. These are the people I've been calling my details queens. So let me see if I can go back to like approximately where I was yesterday. Okay. I think it was right around here. Cassie just sobbed during her last exchange with Emily Johnson, the prosecutor, repeating the freak-offs and the beatings made her feel worthless and like dirt. I didn't read this one. Okay, wait. No, we need to read this one too. Hold on. Yes, see this right here? A muddled timeline might have led the jury to believe that the missed call happened during the alleged R, right? So they were all over the place yesterday with the timeline, and so they had to straighten that out. Prosecutors' final questioning of Cassie ended with a rapid-fire set of questions, during which Cassie broke down crying in her most emotional moment of the trial. Cassie told prosecutors she was not planning to file any more lawsuits against Diddy. She was receiving no money to testify at the trial. And that she would give back her $20 million settlement payment from Diddy if doing so could somehow make it so she never participated in the freak-offs. I would have agency and autonomy, Cassie said, her voice tightening. I wouldn't have had to work so hard to get it back. Cassie sobbed during her last exchange with the prosecutor, repeating that the freak-offs and the beatings made her feel, quote, worthless and like dirt. She told Diddy she didn't want to do them, she said. But she did fear for her safety and her career and her relationships with Diddy if she didn't comply with his wishes. The government's brief redirect of Cassie was over at this point. This is 3:28 p.m. yesterday, and now the defense team got another chance to question the prosecution's star witness. Diddy's attorney, Ana Estevallo, seized on Cassie's recent testimony that she feared saying no to a freak-off in part because she didn't want Diddy to break up with her. You knew Diddy's sexual preference was to have freak-offs, Diddy's lawyer said. Cassie said, I didn't know it was a rule. But you knew being his girlfriend meant performing in freak-offs. Cassie said, over time, I came to understand that. And that was at the time whenever Cassie said, sorry, my mind is just a little bit all over the place right now. Like she was kind of like just tired. So totally understandably. The Intercontinental Hotels Group, whose Los Angeles location was the site of Cassie's beating in 2016, has reached a settlement to pay Cassie $10 million, according to her testimony in court just now. Video of that attack was obtained and aired by CNN last year, just as sexual assault allegations against Diddy were mounting in a growing number of civil lawsuits. Then about 3:40, Dawn Richard arrived at the trial with Lisa Bloom. I don't want to read the whole thing right now. She first met Diddy in 2004 on the set of his MTV reality competition show, Making the Band 3. She accused Diddy of physical and sexual abuse in a lawsuit that she filed last year, and there's a picture of her going into court. 3:52, Cassie finally completed her testimony and left the witness stand after spending 4 consecutive days in her final trimester of pregnancy testifying against her former boyfriend, Diddy. After the court took a break, Diddy hugged his attorney, who cross-examined Cassie for hours yesterday and the day before. The two stood and chatted for a while in a relatively empty courtroom. The prosecution then called the next witness to the stand. This was Yassine Binda, an investigator in the Department of Homeland Security's Human Trafficking Group. Unclear if there will also be time for Diddy's former band member. Okay, she did end up going up. The special agent testified that she participated in a raid on Diddy's hotel room in the Park Hyatt in Manhattan in September. He was arrested in the lobby of the hotel. He was arrested in the lobby. He was arrested in the lobby. He was not arrested. Diddy was not arrested in his room. Before Diddy's arrest, so before he was ever arrested, this particular special agent was the one handling the logistics at the agency's office in Manhattan, and she was well acquainted with the operational details of the federal investigation into Combs. She is describing entering a multi-room unit at the hotel and taking inventory of the evidence. So like I kind of like pieced together, it was like a suite with a bunch of rooms in it. Homeland Security agent was describing photographs of a large Ziploc bag filled with Johnson's baby oil and lubricant, evidence which was taken during a raid on Diddy's hotel room around the time of his arrest last year. Agents also recovered an external hard drive. Okay, so he had a hard drive in the room as well. What was on the hard drive? Beats me. Okay, still Washington Post. Special agent described the multi-room hotel suite at the time. She said there was a blue mood lighting in one corner of the room. So there was a blue light in the corner of the room. In the bathroom, agents found 5 additional bottles of baby oil and lubricant that had been stored in the bathtub. What? They found a Louis Vuitton bag with a bottle of medication prescribed to Frank Black in separate pill bottles, ketamine and MDMA. In a nightstand by the bed, there were 2 additional bottles of lubricant. And then I'm just starting to think like, ugh, like y'all already know, I do kink shame on this channel. I really do. And I will. And I'm not sorry about it. I can kink shame. Y'all can do what you want. I'm not saying it should be illegal, but I do shame. Yes, I do. And I have the right to do so. And I'll continue to do so if I feel like it. But it just, I can even see how, like, if a couple has like, or a person has like certain kinky, proclivities and wants to do certain get a little wild, get a little crazy from time to time. I'm not even going to necessarily like really judge that. Okay. But like, just imagine like you are so, I don't know, like inundated, like, like consumed in this lifestyle that like the day before you're about to be probably going to jail for maybe ever, you have just all of this stuff like all over the hotel room. It's lights and baby oil and it's just a depraved lifestyle. It's not just what you want to do as your sexual kink. It is truly like his whole life revolved around getting his rocks off, getting his sexual kicks off in this particular way and making these movies. Was he selling them? Was Diddy also running a selling mood lighting industry? I mean, that's what I want to know. Like, is it more of a Stein situation? Were there more celebrities involved? I just like, this is a whole lifestyle. It is a whole lifestyle. Bottles and bottles, 5 bottles of baby oil in the bathtub, plus baby oil in the closet. In the bathtub, in the closet, were they trying to hide it? I mean, surely they didn't think they could. Pills. I mean, clonazepam or whatever that is like a normal medicine to take. But if it was prescribed to Diddy, it would be better. It was prescribed to Frank Black. Is that his estual alter ego? Is Frank Black the one that he switches into that has black eyes and a demon face, a devilish smile? Like, she cut open an evidence bag of cash and fanned the bills to the jury. With less than half an hour, so it's 4:44, until the trial was supposed to break for the week, the prosecution called their witness Dawn Richard, a former member of the band Danity Kane, which rose to prominence after starring on Diddy's MTV show Making the Band. That was the band from Making the Band, was called Danity Kane. Richard's testimony has been anticipated since it was announced in court yesterday because she has sued Diddy and alleged he abused her on the Making the Band show. She's also said she witnessed Diddy attacking Cassie. In a long checkered blazer, Richard raised her right hand before taking the stand. She performed in 2 bands managed by Diddy, and she testified that she saw Diddy attack his then girlfriend, Cassie, in 2009. He came downstairs screaming, belligerent, asking where his food was, and continued to hit her in the head and kick her on the ground in front of us. She outlined the same alleged assault in a lawsuit she filed in September, accusing Diddy of physically and sexually abusing her. She did say in her own lawsuit that this did happen. Diddy has denied those allegations. Dawn Richard testified that she was visiting Diddy's Los Angeles home to record music. She had joined Cassie in the kitchen when Diddy attacked. So probably also he's like a narcissist or whatever, didn't want Cassie to have any friends, didn't want Dawn to have any friends, definitely didn't want them becoming friends. So he had to come down there and break it up. He came downstairs angry and was saying where the F was his eggs. And he was telling Cassie she never gets anything right and where the F was his food. And then he came over to the skillet with the eggs in it and tried to hit her over the head, and she fell to the ground. Diddy continued to beat Cassie as she was on the floor, Dawn Richard testified, and then, quote, proceeded to take his arm around her neck and drag her by the hair up the stairs. She said that the following day, Diddy invited her back, as well as Kalena Harper, who also saw the alleged attack, and invited her back to record music in the studio. Dawn Richard testified that Diddy told the 2 women that the violence they witnessed was passion, and that he had threatened that, quote, where he comes from, people who say something can end up missing. The judge then dismissed the jury for the day following Dawn's description of the alleged attack when she failed to make him eggs quickly enough. The prosecutors and the defense attorneys are now debating the merits of the testimony, whether it supports the ST charge in Diddy's indictment. The defense attorney wanted the testimony struck from the record. So the testimony already went in, and Agnifilo is saying, I want all that struck, Your Honor, because Cassie didn't even mention that incident in her own testimony. The prosecutors argued that Diddy's alleged abuse created a culture of violence and fear that allowed him to carry out more serious crimes. I do think there is something to that. I think on this one, I side with the prosecutors. The trial week ends with an explosive testimony and a question mark. Dawn will return to court on Monday, but it is unclear how much of her testimony from today about Diddy's attack on Cassie will actually be admissible. After a lengthy discussion with lawyers, the judge said he will have to think about the matter. The judge also accused both parties. The judge called both sides out. He said neither side raised this to me beforehand. Look, Judge R.N. Subramanian also accused both parties of using the lack of communication to their advantage. Quote, neither one of y'all raised, that's not a quote, neither side raised this because they were trying to use these perceived ambiguities in a tactical way. The judge said, I'm saying both sides. The judge said, I'm not pointing any fingers. Well, he's pointing them, but he's pointing them to both sides. The admonition by the judge is in line with his running critique of both prosecutors and defense attorneys that they have been lax in explaining and preparing their evidence, resulting in trial delays that threaten to drag out an already drawn out proceeding, and it's creating narrow opportunities for appeals. So the judge has been fussing at both sides. And then they did a podcast episode. Okay. That's interesting. Frank White was a notorious drug dealer. Interesting. Yeah, no, Virgo Lee, this is a great point. No one remembers or points out. Cassie was also an employee. She was in a 10-album deal with Bad Boy. Okay. Thank you, Cousin Holly, for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Terry Dickinson, for the whoa, Terry, shout out to you. Thank you, Terry, for the 99 pound super chat. Thank you. Thank you, House of Wild, for the $2 super chat. I was hoping you would be live today. Well, here I am. Thank you, $2 super chat. Thank you. Shout out to Rabbit down the Rabbit Hole News for the $1.99. Thank you, Starfish888. I have been missing the beginning of your live streaming, but I'm caught up. This is a thank you for working hard. Thank you, Starfish, for the $20 super chat. Thank you, Natasha Farrell, for the $4.99 super chat. Been watching all week from Ireland. That's cousins. Hey, shout out cousins. Thanks for your coverage, BJ. Your commentary is also so funny. You are a treasure. Thank you. Thank you, Halloween Freak, the $4.99. We did cover this comment. Thank you again for the $4.99. Shout out to Devania Skyers for the $4.99. The continued large amount of rugs, even while under investigation, shows why it's organized and a RICO. He was comfortable with law enforcement and his team. I see your point. I take your point. Devania or Devania? Thanks so much for the $4.99 super chat. Thanks so much to Throne and Tail for the $9.99. I figured you'd take the weekend off. I watched all week, over 8 months sober. Oh, good. Shout out to you. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Shout out to you. I know it's not easy. One day at a time, as they say. Your show ignited an awakening in my life. So grateful. Oh my God. Thank you. Shout out to you. House of Wild, thank you for $3 super chat. Thank you for being you and being here. Thank you, House of Wild, for the $3. Thank you, Davis Lewis Love, for the $5 super chat. David James was an assistant, also bartender. He mixed drinks at parties. Ooh, look up David James, how to make a Diddy on his platform. Will do. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you, Leveraged, for the $10 super chat. I was live in the courtroom Friday. Were you? A lot of context is missing in the X's and news reports. It was wild. I sent you a DM on X. Let me know if you want to discuss what I saw. And I spoke to your best friend, Chloe. Oh, I do. Wait, you were live in the courtroom? Do you have a channel? Make a video. I want to react to it. Thank you for the $10 super chat. And I will check my DMs. Thank you, SB, for the $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Kraken. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Shout out to you. There's scientific public research for which untraceable unless specifically investigated chemicals to give someone pneumonia. Ooh, Kraken Studio. That is very interesting to know. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. There's something weird with Kim Porter's death. I don't know what it is. Obviously, it was ruled pneumonia, natural causes, but I have a lot of questions. Like, why wasn't she brought to a hospital? I mean, just a lot of questions. Thank you to Eloria for the $2 super chat. Pee in baby oil, vector for infection. Huh, interesting. But pee and baby oil? I'm confused. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Thank you, Helen Grimshaw, for the £3 super chat. Is Witness 3 Daphne Joy or Young Miami? Could A find B escort? I've seen a lot of speculation as to who is the victim 3, and I don't really know, but I guess it could be. It could be either of those people. I really don't know. Hey, love, I'm a new subscriber. Malibu says, you're doing a fantastic job. Also, to follow on Instagram. I don't want to miss a beat. Oh, you better follow on X too, girl. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Gia Pet, for the $1.99. The money was probably girls' overnight fee. Mine was $10K, Gia Pet said. Okay, 10K overnight. You better get your money, girl. But honestly though, with Diddy, I mean, ugh, he just seems so grotesque now. Just ugh. Thank you. Thank you for the 199 super chat. And thank you for the information that does add some context. Thank you to Deborah, Ms. Deborah, for the 199 super chat. Shout out to you. Shout out to Laura Frank for the $10 super sticker. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Me Melanina. Thank you so much for the 199. Me Melanina, my fave YouTuber. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. I like how you put the pronunciation guide because you knew I was gonna say Melanina. Me Melanina. Hope that's right. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the $10. I mean for the 199 super chat, me Melanina. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not from Louisiana, but I want to be a cousin. Well, we could be. I got cousins all over the world. I told you all that yesterday. House of Wild. Thank you for the $10 super chat. And Joe Mama, thank you for the $2 super chat. Love your breakdown. Appreciate your knowledge. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the $2 super chat. And Eloria Samaria, thank you for the $5 super chat. If there was tinkle in the baby oil, it could then grow and spread infection and maybe cause pneumonia. Like in the bottle, like if somebody tinkled in the bottle. Oh, y'all, we getting all kind of possible theories. I would have never thought about that one. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Thank you, Wendy, for the $3 super sticker. Shout out to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shout out to the mods. Shout out to Christy, working on a Saturday. Shout out to Diamond. Shout out to Monica. I saw Oklahoma Outlaw was also in here early. Zippy said, I think if Diddy could have gotten Cassie around one last time, she would have been with Kim Porter. It's interesting. Thank you, Easy, for the $2.99 Australian. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Martini, thank you for the $2 super chat. Said makeup on point. I've been trying some different little methods. Of makeup since I got this very, very unforgiving, unflattering camera. Y'all, sometimes it's best to just stay with shot on iPhone. I'm gonna tell you that because you get a whole bunch of new problems whenever you get a better camera. Shout out to Rabbit in the chat. She just recently upped her camera game as well. Oh, I think they meant in the same place Kim is now, Livy said. Interesting. EHC Bunny said, I think Diddy had the power to tell doctors to ignore Kim's illness. To clarify, Zippy said, they both would have been 6 feet under. Gotcha. That's things to think about. Wow. All right, y'all. Well, I do have some other things to do on a Saturday. I've been here for 2 hours, but I will. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you everybody who's joining. I will be back on Monday at the latest. We'll be up here bright and early to see what else is going on with the Diddy. Yeah, I know. Camera game, and they can see everything, girl. I know. I know. But yeah, it's just part of it. Alex's statement is beautiful. I love his statement. Yes, the defense did tequila. They did. The defense did accuse the feds of releasing the video. That's all I really had for this one. In the meantime, if facts ain't defamation, neither are opinions. I love you, Mina. Okay, bye.